Hi guys, welcome back to another video, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at this iPhone 6s 64GB that I picked up quite a while ago for my mum. Now, I was meaning to change the screen quite a while ago, but this has taken actually a little bit longer than I expected. So I picked this phone up through a local buy, swap and sell. All that's wrong with it is it's got a cracked screen, so I brought this iPhone screen along with a few other iPhone screens. This iPhone 4 screen which had inverted colors, this iPhone 5s screen which had a bunch of lines in it, and I thought that the iPhone 6s one would work. So I decided to open up the 6s, plug it in, and basically just see if it's any good. Now the 6s is actually held down with a bit of adhesive as well. This is a little bit of water resistant sealing around the phone, so obviously when you open your phone you're going to damage that sealant. You can buy replacement sealant, but it wasn't worth it in this case, as it's only going to my mum and she's usually pretty good with her phone. She's never broken it or anything like that. So opening up the phone here, we can then start to remove the battery. Now it's extremely important that you disconnect the battery, because I know someone who did a 6s screen replacement and they actually fried their entire phone because they didn't disconnect the battery, and therefore frying the backlight, which is basically what lights up the screen. So without that, you need a super bright flashlight to see what's going on in the screen. So here's the replacement screen, and basically what we're going to do is take everything off and put it onto the new screen. Now the home button is paired with the phone, so if you damage it or replace it, you will not have Touch ID. So it's very important that you transfer your button and do so very carefully to avoid damaging not only the button but sacrificing your Touch ID. So this was quite an involved process. It took quite some time. It would be nice if they did include the camera and everything on the replacement screen. Now the first replacement screen I got didn't have any sort of camera lens bracket or anything like that on it, so I had to transfer mine as well, which isn't very good because it's hard to line up the front-facing camera and things without it actually being glued in. What I also noticed was there was no sort of adhesive to stick the home button in, so it sort of can move around a bit, which is how many iPhone 5s home buttons that I have encountered have actually spun around and ripped the cable. So keep that in mind when you do change your screen. Apple does stick them down, but most replacement screens won't have any adhesive, so I recommend looking into getting some adhesive just to keep your button in place so you don't risk damaging your Touch ID when you've replaced your screen. Now, this first screen isn't the only screen that is going to be going on this 6s, as you'll see in a while. Just like the other two screens I purchased, this one is also faulty, but I decided to put it on because I thought it was working. When I plugged it in, it lit up and looked nice, so I went ahead and proceeded to install it. Okay, so once you've successfully changed everything over to your screen, you can go ahead and plug it back into the phone. And make sure the battery is still disconnected, or you could short out your backlight, as I did mention just before. And once you get this all plugged in, you can then connect the battery and power up the phone and make sure you connected everything correctly. If something doesn't light up, obviously just unplug it and plug it back in. Maybe you just got a bad connection on something. And we're going to be then testing out the phone. Okay, closing it all up here, we can go ahead and give it its first boot. Make sure everything's working. Now there's many ways you can test out some of the functions of the phone. Obviously the home button, make sure it clicks, make sure Touch ID is recognized. To do the proximity sensor, open up voice memos and start recording, and basically just put your finger over the top of the phone, and if the screen goes off, your proximity sensor is working. That's just really when you hold up the phone, when you're in a phone call, the screen will turn off. Obviously front-facing camera, that's pretty easy to test, and speaker, you can also test that in the voice memos app. You can see that it is working, but it does have a very, very bad touch. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's recognizing another finger on there somewhere or something like that, as it's not working correctly. Okay, so this screen I installed, you can see that it sort of just gets stuck when you do swiping motions. dragging an icon all the way around the screen. All parts of the digitizer do work, but it just seems to be when you're scrolling through web pages and through the home screen that you just can't, it's just not very fluid. It's just noticeable. And if you're in, say, the app switcher and you're trying to get out of an app, you can see that it's near impossible to swipe out of the app. So the screen is absolutely rubbish, and so what I had to do was go through the refund process, which was long and very annoying, as the guy just kept sending me the exact same message 6 or 7 times, saying that it could have just been damage in postage. I eventually got a refund and brought a new screen. So all this set me back probably about 2.5 weeks from when I actually wanted to get the phone fixed for my mum. You can see here, I've got the phone back open again, and I've got our new screen that I've bought, and I've transferred all the camera and everything back across again. And now I can go ahead and hook this one up and power on the phone and see if this screen is any better than the last screen we brought. Okay, with this new screen installed, you can see here 3D Touch is working, and it does slightly ripple, but it was on the firm setting. Now the other screen on firm, you could still force touch extremely easily to a point where you go to tap on an app and it would force touch. So that's another thing with cheap screens, is that the force touch is either way too sensitive or way too hard to press compared to a much higher quality screen. Now it still does ripple when you do use force touch, but my mum isn't going to be using force touch, so that's not an issue at all, and it is a lot better than the last screen I brought. This screen scrolls perfectly and everything works fine. So now all I have to do is give this phone to my local Apple service provider for them to put a new battery in it, and that is actually where I picked up the free MacBook Pro. So if you guys want to check out that video, that will be in the description. It's an interesting story how I went in to get a new battery for this with the replacement program that Apple currently has for the iPhone 6s, and walked out of the store with a free MacBook Pro. So the link to that video will be down in the description. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you're not already subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and make sure to check out the iPhone playlist for more videos just like this one, and I'll catch you guys next time, another one of my great videos.